what you've seen this year? Is the power quarterback run stuff so different that it makes them completely unique?
Well, I think what they do is they've got a good mix of the quarterback run game with they take shots. That's something that they've done a really good job of, not only this year through 4 games, but last year as well, is they take shots down the field and they hit those shots. So I think they're really good. I think they're the best offense we played. Schematically, are they doing a bunch of different things? I don't know if they're much different than some of the other, as far as the type of plays they run, than some of the other spread teams we've played. But I think from an efficiency standpoint and being able to threaten you sideline to sideline and in the deep is I think they're unique.
How do you plan for all of the unknowns with injuries? Do you just go into it in terms of them? Do you just go into it and say, well, we're going to figure on them playing and plan that way, or how do you go about that?
Well, I think they're so talented on defense, and I think Tom even made a comment of it yesterday. He felt confident in those guys, and understandably so. They've played a bunch of guys. Even when everybody was healthy, they played a bunch of guys. I can't tell a whole bunch of difference between the units. I know this. When we line up and play, there's going to be some really good guys in the secondary. Who it's going to be, I don't really know, but I know they're going to be good players.
When you've got talented guys, obviously, that are going to be playing, but maybe not experienced on their end, are you going to try to do more maybe RPO or deception stuff to see if you can test those guys?
Well, it's inexperience versus inexperience. So it's no. I think what we're going to do is the same thing we've tried to do over the last few weeks is try to put our guys in the best possible scenario. Try to put our guys, especially our quarterback, in a situation where understanding what's going to happen pre-snap, and then giving him some quick, concise reads. Our guys got to do a good job. At some point, they do a really good job mixing up coverage. At some point, they're gonna play man, and we've got to do a really good job of getting those guys' hands off and winning those battles. I think any of these big type games, okay, and they're all big at this point. We're in the Big 12 play, but it comes down to a bunch of individual one-on-one battles, and we've got to win our share to have success in this game.
When you see a team that uses multiple fronts, do you try to keep things simple for your guys to handle that with all the different looks they give you?
Yeah, we've been pretty simple as far as schematically what we're doing run game wise. We try to present it a bunch of different ways. We'll try to do that again this week. But yeah, they do a really good job. The difference in them compared to some other teams we play is they bounce around fronts, and they run a bunch of D linemen in, and they're big. They've got a size advantage across the board versus us.
It looks like college football and even the NFL today, you're seeing more and more of these kind of quarterbacks that big, strong, and can run. You might have 3 of them in a row coming up. What does that do to you, and how do you handle that?
Well, I think what it does is, and we played a couple so far this year. Kelly Bryant is really good at that too. He's a dual threat guy, and there are a lot of them in college football, and they put you in a bind because they throw the ball well enough that you got to cover everything, but they also they have the ability to make a play when it breaks down, and that's probably the scariest thing. Is he does a great job if you do a quality job in the secondary and you cover your guys. He does a great job of breaking containment and running, and then when he scrambles, he can also find the open guy. So it's tough. We've got several of them in our league, and so we've got to do as good a job. I don't think you go into the game understanding you're not necessarily going to shut them down, but you got to limit the explosive plays. That's the biggest thing.
Those explosive plays on your part, you've talked a lot about needing that. How do you manufacture that, or is it just?
I think it goes down to the one-on-ones. We've got to be able to win those. We've got to be able to throw the ball down there. We've got to be able to make some people miss in the open field in the run game, and we got to generate some explosive plays. When you're playing this type of offense that has ability to put a lot of points on the board, you got to go into it understanding that, hey, you're going to have to make some big plays. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to throw the ball 50 yards down the field. What it does is it means that you got to be able to break tackles, all right? You've got to be able to get north and south when you're running after the catch. And those are some things we've got to do to keep the chains moving.
Is that something you keep trying to do until you get it, until it pops?
Yeah, so that's something that was a big point of emphasis during the bye week. I don't know if that's something that necessarily just happens overnight. I think it's something that gradually takes place. But that's something really going back when we had an issue with it in Missouri, that's something that we've put a lot of time and effort into it. And we've gotten better running after the catch. We've gotten better breaking tackles. We're not as good as we need to be, but we've made improvements on it.
The receiver, Duvernay, that you mentioned, seems like he's really turned into one of their favorite targets, a guy they like to go to on third down. What have you seen out of him that's made him so successful?
Duvernay, that's how you say it, and I actually got that written down, and I didn't do a very good job following my notes. But here's what I think is he's a guy that's been in the program for a while. So when you watch him play, he's really heady, okay? And they move him around a bunch of different spots. I think he's got a real good feel for just football in general. If we weren't playing this week, I like to watch him play. Because he does a really good job of kind of settling in zones. He understands when it's man. He runs away from man coverage. He catches the ball just like I was talking about our guys needing to. He catches and gets vertical, has the ability to make a guy miss. And like I said, they've done a great job getting him the ball too, especially when they had some of the other guys out. They've really focused on him. And, you had 39 catches through 4 games with the yardage he's put up. I think that's great production.
Do you prefer to have a big game like this early in conference play or later, or does it not matter?
I think at this point, y'all have watched them. You've watched most of the teams in our league. I think, week in and week out, we're going to have some big games, against playing against quality opponents. Our month of October, I haven't looked much ahead, but our month of October, we're going to play some really good football teams. It starts this week with Texas. They're talented, and I think that's what we're going to see as we continue through our league.
Neal, I'm trying to think of when it was. Maybe last week you said that Austin had done a good job in the RPO game with getting guys out of the box. Mm-hmm. And just from a layman's perspective, he doesn't run it. He doesn't keep it. He's not like Ellinger for sure. Mm-hmm. But he's doing some stuff to manipulate that for you. What exactly is he doing there?
And I think the last 2 weeks, too, against NC State, he pulled a couple. And then against Kansas, he had a couple of really positive plays pulling the ball. And he has done a good job in the RPO game. Probably better against NC State than he did against Kansas. But you got to to prevent guys from loading the box, you got to be able to either run the ball at quarterback or you got to be able to get the ball outside. It's one of the 2 answers. And he's done a good job RPO-wise. I think that he's an effective runner. I think he's a better athlete than probably what he gets credit for. The run he had versus Kansas was really good. He kind of made a guy miss and got up the sideline there for a 10-plus gain. I think he did it twice, actually. But that's when you make throws in the RPO game, then they can't necessarily crowd the box on you. Does that make sense? They have to represent, or they have to cover you and move more people. They have to play, multiple safeties.
You mentioned their size, and they've got impressive size. Specifically, in middle linebacker, too, they got a 250-pound kid there. How do you – what are some of the things you can do when you're dealing with teams that are bigger than you like that across the board?
Yeah, well, I think that, first of all, it's not something you talk about a whole lot with your guys. It is what it is. They use the linebacker a lot to blitz. He's an effective blitzer. But they've got good size. Like I said, they've recruited really well. Texas high school football is some of the best in the country, and they've done a really good job of picking and choosing the guys that fit their schemes. They're long. I think not only are they heavy, but they're long. And the length really causes you more issue than maybe the girth or whatever. But I think what you do is you have a plan, and really what you want to do is you want to make sure your big guys are on their big guys, and that's what you got to make sure you scheme against.
Coach, how has Bandera's looked since you've been coaching him, and how big is it?
Yeah, I think our expectations have to be reasonable for him. He hadn't played in a football game in well over 2 years, and when he was out at Alabama, he played some special teams, played a little bit of defense there, I think, toward the end of his career there, but not a whole lot. So, in a lot of ways, it's going to be his first college football game. He'll play some on defense. He'll play some on special teams. We've kind of, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've kind of started getting him reps with the first group. He got a ton of reps last week during our bye week. So he's going to be ready to play. He's excited about playing. But I think our expectations have to be reasonable. Ours as coaches are. But he's done a good job. Proud of him to this point. Looking forward to watching him, see how he does in game-type settings.
You've mentioned a couple of times about having to play catch-up in the recruiting game. Mm-hmm. Where do you think you are now, and are you to the point where you and your staff feel comfortable, selling things specific to West
You're talking about in the 20 class?
Well, 20 and 21, just the whole.
I think 21 will be our first real recruiting class. I'm talking about from a time perspective where we're not playing catch-up. Because because recruiting now is 2+ years, and I think the 21 class will be the first class that that we've gone through the whole time with. Okay, I like the way our 20 class is coming together. I think we'll make some movement here in the next couple weeks. I think that the guys we have committed, I like them. I think they're proving that they're playing at a high level right now. So I like those guys. We got to finish strong. I think we're setting ourselves up for a strong finish in December into February. And I'm excited. We got a ton of 21 kids coming to this game, and so it's another reason why I think the atmosphere needs to be at a great level on Saturday, because we're going to have some of not only our 20 guys, but our 21 guys here. So hopefully a lot of future Mountaineers in the house.
Neal, you got any thoughts on the California law about players?
No, I was waiting. I was surprised it took this long. So here's what I'll do. I can sit up here and give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Bottom line is I really don't have an opinion on it. And y'all asked me literally like a bunch of questions like this, and my deal is the same. Like, I just want to know the rules. Just tell me the rules, we'll abide by them. But like, I'm not into like making legislation. That's boring. I get it. But honestly, I've been trying to figure out how we're gonna get some first downs. So I hadn't really thought about what the California legislature's done. I know y'all have had some interesting takes on Twitter. I saw that. All right. Andy Staples been talking about nonstop. I had to just like hit my Twitter button. And
Since you started talking, Pennsylvania's apparently going to introduce them.
Are they? I'm sure. We live in a copycat society. I'm sure that it'll take. But I really don't have any thoughts on it. I'm not educated enough on the bill to be able to talk about it.
After how last year's game went down and the juice that those guys have to bring year to year, the holdover guys I'm talking about, are you sensing anything? I mean, you never have to get guys up for Texas, but the holdover from last year's team, do you sense anything special from those guys prepping for this game?
Well, I think coming off a bye week, anytime you're going to play, you haven't played in a couple weeks, I think there's going to be excitement. I think we'll have great energy at practice today. I don't think we'll have any problem trying to motivate them to get them ready to play. We had a lot of guys that played in that game, not a lot of guys that necessarily played vital roles in that game. So for most of our guys, outside a few defensive guys in Colton, this is going to be their first real action versus Texas. So honestly, we're not making once you get into Big 12, I'll treat them all the same. This is a big one because this is the one we play this week. They happen to be ranked number 11 in the country. West Virginia had a big win against them last year, but I don't think that'll have any bearing whatsoever when we line up and kick this thing off on Saturday.
For whatever reason, fans have really latched on to this matchup. Have you gotten that sense just since you've come here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the reasoning, I haven't played in the game. I've played Texas before, but I haven't been here and played Texas. So I do get the feeling on that. I'm not sure why. You know what I mean? Like, I just hadn't been here, so I don't, and I'm not trying to abate anything. I just haven't played in the game, but I do feel like this is one that our fans, are excited about, and it's one they talk about in the off season as well.
Curious about them schematically. Their B linebacker, I guess number 46, does that tip off what they're going to be, whether a 3 or 4 man front? Is that what you look for there?
No, they're really, what they're doing is they're getting their rover.
Okay.
So there are a few teams across the country that are doing it. It's kind of Clemson's doing it right now. Iowa State's been doing it. They're doing it. Texas is doing it. They've got a rover that 19 and 25 both play it, both really good players. It's kind of a hybrid position. They can play nickel. They can play safety. They can rush off the edge. And they put them in a lot of different spots for them to make plays. And so that's kind of how, when they get to their 4 down, that's kind of, they use that guy a lot. But both those guys are really good players, and they make them go in a lot of different ways.
You saw film on Hakeem Bailey before you got here.
Mm-hmm.
How different is he now, and what kind of strides has he made?
Well, excuse me. I think he's playing with a lot more confidence. I think he's faster than he was a year ago. He and Keith both, they didn't play their best against Kansas. Okay, they didn't play their best at all. But before the Kansas game, they were both playing at an extremely high level. They didn't prepare as well during the Kansas week, and I think it showed in the game. I fully expect them to bounce back. But Hakeem is one of our most improved players. I said this about Kelby Wickline the other day, and I think people sometimes forget, sometimes, going into your senior year, you get a big jump. you know, and those are two kids that really have made big jumps. And I like the way that he's approached special teams, I like the way he's approached defense. I think he's been a good mentor, a good leader on that side of the ball. He's really kind of taken some of those young guys in secondary under his wing. So I'm pleased where he's at right now.
You haven't had a lot of depth at corner. Trayshawn Miller, where is he physically?
Yeah, he's still out. Yeah, he's recovering from surgery. You know, we hope to have him available at some point this year. He'll be a redshirt unless something drastically changes. But we hope to have him where he's available for maybe those 4 games later in the year.
You know, you've kind of recycled your receiver core a couple times with, I guess, in the off season and then during the season. And you just mentioned Esdale coming along. How much has that changed? And has that hindered Austin at all, or has it helped maybe some of the other receivers you're trying to inspire a little bit?
So what we did, Mike, during like 2-a-days is basically we 2-spotted, and we rotated those receivers with the quarterbacks. All right, so Austin got a ton of work throwing to really all those guys in the 2-deep, and Ali and Winston, okay, both rotated in there, so he got a bunch of work, not only on summer on his own, but also during fall camp. So he's got a pretty good relationship as far as throwing the ball to all those guys. The receiver deal outside of Sam and really T.J. Simmons, everybody else, you know, they've had some ups and downs. We need to be more consistent. I didn't think we played very well at all at the receiver position. That's all of them in the Kansas game, and that's really why we had to go kind of to more ball control and kind of just grind it out that win in the second half, just because we didn't play great. And so for us to win, you know, this week and really moving forward against the schedule is our receivers got to play at a high level, and they got to be able to block on the perimeter, but they also got to be able to make plays and win in those one-on-one situations. And really, a lot of who plays in the game is going to be who has the best Tuesday and Wednesday. That's probably the way it's going to be moving forward.
Neal, you try to limit the personal foul penalties as much as possible. Obviously, we got 2 against Texas last year with the whole horns out situation. Have you addressed your players?
Are we still talking about that?
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you. We'll address it at some point. I got to get from Greg Burks. I know he gave a monologue about it at media days. I got to go back and call and ask him exactly what the penalty is. I said this on the conference call. I really to me, it's like much ado about nothing. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather build up West Virginia than try to tear anybody else down. But I really hadn't thought about it. I'll deal with it probably later in the week.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Good deal. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.